It's a pleasure to be here tonight. Today, I want to explain how the global economic recession was catalyzed by a set of firms that forgot a fundamental business principle. And that is, for businesses to survive and prosper, they must create customer value. What is customer value? Customer value are the benefits that customers receive when they buy and own a product. Now, for a moment, think about a product in your life that you find is indispensable, a product that you couldn't or wouldn't want to live without. It's a product that you find so important, you evangelize it to your friends, your family, and your colleagues. Does everyone have a product in mind? That's a product that creates tremendous customer value. For me, a product that creates value is the Amazon Kindle. My wife and I, who's in the audience today, we went to Europe for a 2-week vacation, and we visited 3 cities. We took a Kindle with us. We loaded guidebooks, leisure books, newspapers, and magazines. We had an entire library in the palms of our hands. It proved to be indispensable throughout our trip. I even had the opportunity to embarrass my wife, which was a bonus, as we were touring museums, and I used the text-to-speech feature of the Kindle. So on the one hand, we have indispensable products. Now let's think about some of the products that were at center stage during the economic recession. For instance, mortgage products, and in particular, subprime mortgage products. We have products such as balloon mortgages, interest-only mortgages, liar loans, and my favorite loan of them all was the Ninja loan. Ninja was an acronym for no income, no job, or assets. This was a real product. It was truly a killer loan. So the question was, any value being created for customers? There were really 2 customers, right? We had home buyers on the one hand, and we had investment banks on the other. Now, was any value being created for home buyers? I would argue no, unless we assume that housing prices would escalate indefinitely at abnormal rates, and home buyers could flip their properties for a profit. I would make the same case for investment banks, that no value was being created. Investment banks misunderstood the risk profile of these different loans. What happens to a company when it sells products that create no value or in fact are toxic? Well, IndyMac was an example of a company that was selling these subprime mortgages. At one point, IndyMac was the 7th largest loan originator in the United States. Their strategy was to sell and to originate subprime mortgages. When the bubble burst, IndyMac was not able to sell its loans anymore to the investment banks. They ran out of cash to sell the mortgages to consumers and home buyers. And the result was a liquidity crisis, and IndyMac was subsequently closed by the Office of Thrift Supervision of the United States government, resulting in IndyMac becoming the 4th largest bank failure in United States history. Let's consider another industry and set of firms that struggled throughout the financial crisis. These are the US automotive companies. For the last couple decades, US automotive companies have scored lower in terms of customer satisfaction, reliability, and safety, according to a variety of review and rating agencies. As a stark example, let's talk about the Pontiac Aztek. The Pontiac Aztek was a car brought to market by General Motors in 2001. Time magazine listed the Pontiac Aztek as one of the 50 worst cars of all time. It was called the ugliest car of all time by a British newspaper. It scored below average from a reliability standpoint, according to Consumer Reports, and it scored lower from a safety standpoint, according to the US government. What happens when a car is comparatively ugly, unreliable, and unsafe? Well, General Motors predicted that they would sell 75,000 Pontiac Aztecs the first year in 2001. They only sold 27,000 Pontiac Aztecs. 50% of the Aztecs were sold to a rental car company owned by General Motors. The Pontiac Aztec was discontinued in 2004. Now, the one bright spot for US automotive companies were SUVs and trucks. But as soon as oil prices spiked, these two categories of cars became much less appealing to the average consumer. I think there's a really important lesson that we can take away from Ninja loans and the Pontiac Aztec. That is, for businesses to survive and prosper, they must create customer value. And they must consider how much value they're creating relative to competitors. The importance of a value proposition was a hard-earned lesson from the dot-com bubble. We learned this again during the current economic recession. Let's not make the same mistake again and face another crisis. Thank you very much.